Hey guys, what happens if your spouse decides that he or she is just not going to go with you to your green card interview? What then? Let's talk about it in this one. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide and globally where we believe that freedom is now. So type in freedom now if you also believe that you shouldn't have to wait for your freedom. Before you go today, guys, do me the favor and subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell and you will be the first to get notice of my videos each week. Now let's talk about a couple of scenarios that typically happens with these types of drama that happens with immigration and marriage. Here you are in your relationship with your U.S. citizen spouse or your green card holder spouse. He or she has decided that they love you, they want to spend the rest of their life with you, they want to file for you and keep you here in America with them, and then they file the paperwork for you. Things seem to be looking up, but then you get an interview notice. Things have changed in the relationship. You're having problems in the marriage. Your spouse now refuses to go with you to this green card interview. What then? It really puts you in a very bad position, right? And for some people, it leaves them feeling so confused and afraid. Here's scenario number one. Maybe you've decided, I'm going to just show up to immigration's office on the day of that interview and I'm going to explain to them that my spouse is just not here, but I'm here. So please go ahead and interview me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about my case, my history, my relationship. And if that's you guys in that scenario, just know that the government will not interview you alone. They will not interview you. They will turn you back and say to you, please leave. Then they will send you a denial letter. Scenario number two looks like this. You show up to immigration's office on the day of the interview. You decide, well, I'm just going to explain to them that my spouse is not here and I'd like for them to reschedule the interview. Will they do it? Well, they will only do so if you provide them with a really good explanation for why he or she is not there, and you give them some sort of proof as to why your spouse isn't there with you that day. So for example, if there's a medical emergency, well, do you have a letter from a doctor or something from the emergency room noting that your spouse is unable to come in for an interview due to his or her medical condition? If you give such an evidence to immigration, they will accept it and they will reschedule your interview. But if you appear there and simply ask them to reschedule it without providing them with proof as to why your spouse is not there, they will not reschedule your interview and they will deny your case. Scenario number three looks like this. You decide, I'm just not going to appear. I'm afraid of going there by myself. Maybe they'll just detain me if I do that, so I'm just not going to appear. Well, if you make the decision not to appear and you take no further steps, they will deny the case. If you decide, well, I'm not going to appear, but I'm going to call ahead of time before the interview and I'm going to give them an explanation as to why my spouse is not going to be with me and we need to reschedule this meeting, well, it's possible that they will hear your explanation and reschedule it. Depending on what you tell them on that phone call, they may or may not reschedule your meeting. It's very difficult to get it rescheduled that way, but it does work for some people. Now, this issue, guys, is very, very tricky because if it's not handled properly, you could actually get a notice to appear in immigration court based on the fact that you didn't appear for an interview. Here's how it works. Let's say the government called you in, you have your first interview notice, you and your spouse went to that interview, it just didn't go so well, so the government decided to issue you a second interview notice called a Stokes interview notice. And it's at that point you decide, I'm just not going to appear, we're not together anymore, I'm just going to abandon the case. Well, if you do it that way, for most jurisdictions, USCIS jurisdictions, this could trigger a fraud alert on their end. It would prompt them to put you in removal immigration court proceedings for an immigration judge to sort out the issues related to your case and your marriage. So the timing of your case really matters here. The timing of whether you're not going to show up to a first interview versus not showing up to a second interview. Very important that you speak with an immigration lawyer, particularly if it's a second interview notice, you're thinking about not appearing, because the negative consequence again is getting a notice to appear in immigration court based on you not appearing for that that interview. So guys, speak with a lawyer. Reach out to us if you're in this situation. For some people, they're able to proceed on their own because maybe they face abuse in their marriage. Their spouse is threatening them, saying things like, well, I'm not going to appear at this interview for you unless you do X, Y, and Z for me. Well, guys, that's unacceptable. That's abuse. So speak with us so that we could go deeper to find out more about your case and your marriage and all of the facts that are necessary for us to make a decision about whether your case is a good one for you to pursue on your own as a victim of domestic violence. I hope you found this video helpful. For more free tips from us, go to McBeanlaw.com/free, where you will find more resources, and be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at McBeanlaw.com/subscribe, where you will get our weekly immigration news, Q&As, good news stories, and blogs. Guys, thanks so much for being with me in this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.